you know that an estimated 34 million people around the country provide unpaid medical care for a loved one, an astounding number of people 50 or older, and they provide about $470 billion, as you know, doctor, in unpaid care each year. What challenges do these people face beyond the monetary cost?
I'm glad you mentioned it, Amy. In fact, the other thing too I'd mention is that just in Tennessee alone, there's like 1.6 million caregivers. So even for the folks who are probably watching today, it impacts a lot of people. Even on a local level. When it comes to challenges, having been through this before, I can tell you that, while you did mention money, and I think that is a very significant thing, it's about knowledge, it's about time, and it's about money. So if you think of it from a knowledge perspective, you spend so much time trying to understand, gee, what does my loved one need? Not just in terms of the medical issues, but their safety. How do you keep them living independently in their home? You spend so much time trying to think about, what do I need to do? How do I need to do it? And how to best involve your loved one in that conversation. It's a very involved process that I think takes a lot of time and energy, which kind of leads me to the second piece, which is the time piece. The amount of time that people invest in taking care of a loved one is incredible. We saw a statistic that was like about 24 hours a week that basically an average person kind of spends doing caregiving. And I think it's not only for those people who live close by that are taking care of a parent or another type of loved one, but it's also folks who just live far away, who are family members who are also trying to kind of think through these things. It takes time when you're working. It takes time when you're at home, even with your kids. And so you spend a lot of time, selfless time, trying to actually help this individual. And then I think with respect to the cost piece, it kind of plays out both from a sort of an immediate issue with respect to the fact that people pay around $5,500 a year just out of pocket in actually just providing all different types of products and services to just sort of help somebody stay living independently.
And I read that over the course of a lifetime, that could be $300,000 or something.
Yes,
to that extent.
$300,000 in terms of lost wages, in terms of Social Security and lost private pensions. So there's a long-term effect too. So
the monetary, but also obviously the emotional toll it takes on the caregiver as well. But I know that you're involved in innovations. How does technology play into this whole puzzle?
Technology is, when you think about all of the different technological advances that have just kind of gone through the course of the last few years, with the evolution of the smartphone, with the World Wide Web, the social media, all of those things are actually having a dramatic impact on caregiving. So you're seeing it in terms of the ability to provide better communication and more transparency. So you think about the fact of you can actually go out to social media, you can find a caregiving support group, you can talk to people who aren't just in your neighborhood, they're all over the country who are going through the same problems you are. You think about it from a remote monitoring, all the different types of new devices you can place in a home to actually, if you don't live near your loved one that you're taking care of, that you can actually learn more about what's going on in their home. It takes place in the fact that there's better organization around professional caregiving services. So I'm seeing a lot of companies that are just starting out trying to figure out how do I match people with the right type of caregiver so that they actually do provide good types of professional services.
So why is it so important for employers out there to help their employees? Is it the emotional support, or also you want to keep your employees healthy so they're more productive, obviously?
Yeah, it's both. And I think when it comes to an employer, they've got an additional challenge, is they don't always know who these employees are. Because most people don't identify themselves as a caregiver, you don't really know who in your in the workforce is actually dealing with this. And so you have to think about, how do I actually reach these people? And then once I do, sort of what can I do, what can I give them to basically help to take their mind off it? Because you see it playing out in terms of what we see, what's called presenteeism, where people are at work but they're just not focused at work.
Not really there.
Right, and we've estimated that it actually can cost around $33 billion in sort of lost productivity that caregiving takes across the country.
You have been through this personally, from what I understand.
Yes.
Do you mind sharing your personal experience
You know,
with this?
we actually, my two sisters and I kind of encountered this a few years ago when my father was put in a nursing home and my mother was living alone. And we had the additional challenges is that the three of us lived across the country. So my mother lives in Iowa and we live elsewhere. And so we are constantly thinking about, gee, how could we, what do we need to do to kind of make sure that she is taking care of herself, that she's getting enough food to eat, that she's getting to the doctor appointments because she couldn't drive, so she was homebound. So there were lots of different issues that we were constantly faced with. So all of the things that we talked about earlier, the knowledge, the time, the money, all played into sort of helping us that we were struggling with all the time to try to figure out sort of how to best take care of her.
As we wrap this up, what would be your most important piece of advice to caregivers, if you could share one thing?
The most important thing is to take care of yourself, to find time, to plan for time, to basically do something else that takes your mind off of it, that actually helps you relax. Budget that time, whether it be exercise or going out to coffee with somebody or doing something for yourself, because you're not going to help the person that you want to help if you don't help yourself as well.
That is just a critical piece of this whole picture, it really is, and you learn that from experience.
Yes.
You know of what you speak. So, all right. Any final thoughts as we kind of close out this segment?
You know, all I would say is that, you know, if people are looking for more information about caregiving, you know, they can go to our website, which is uhcforcaregivers.com, or they can look at AARP for more information, or there's a
great
a
resources
here in Tennessee as well.
All right, Dr. Pion, thank you so much for your time.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice meeting you. Thank you.